Thank you, Bad Mary, for that too sweet playing, and welcome back, all you four-color funny book aficionados. This is U.S. Comics Cast, HQ for all things comic book related. I am John Rivera, the CEO and co-founder of U.S. Comics, and I am joined by the COO and other co-founder, co-host, and unofficial Kevin Smith look-alike winner, Charlie COVID Killer Rivera. What's up, Charlie boy?
I live! And I have about 3 weeks of energy that I jam-packed into just this episode. So a happy comic book day. Damn, did I miss being away.
Happy
Damn,
comic book
happy
day.
To be here.
Oh man, what that COVID inflicted 2-week hiatus, other than just lying still, barely clinging to life, just wheezing in one nostril and wheezing out the other. What the hell have you been doing with your time, son?
I've just been consuming content. Because the thing I learned about Charlie with COVID is that no matter how bad the body ached, when I wasn't dead asleep, I would wake up and be like, play.
Nice.
More content.
I feel like somebody produced something that's going to salvage my day. So you watched a lot of movies, you watched a lot of streamers,
a lot of trailers,
read a lot of comic books. Just out of curiosity, did you play many video games? Like, was that incorporated in your time killing?
There was one day where I felt good enough that you and I rocked. We threw on the cowboy hats.
Oh, no doubt. And the funny thing is, like,
was...
even when sometimes people are clinging to life, they realize that, like, you're the good guy, you're the white hat, but there's a bad hat. You hear that?
Oh, I hear
I don't know, like, there's white hats and there's white hats, and then there's black hat motherfuckers just like our boy Justin joining us. Justin, what is up?
Thank you, gentlemen. Always an honor to join the squad. Thank you.
Ironically, his hat is very whitish, and I'm bringing him in, introducing him as a straight-up villain, like the Man in Black in Westworld, which we certainly will get to at an episode in the near future. Justin, welcome, brother. Welcome.
Thank you.
Much like
So good to be back.
He's wearing the white hat to mislead us for his epic and huge heel turn.
So
and then it turns out he's a robot, but maybe he's not a robot. But there's robot flies, but they're real flies.
Listen, spoilers, man. Spoilers. So we are lucky to have some backup in the form of Justin as we come back from our long-awaited COVID-induced break. So look, I'm gonna jump right into it because
let's do it.
Even though this visage that I'm putting out there for the world is pretty upbeat, pretty Johnny-go-lucky, as nobody says, I'm a broken man. I'm a sad puppy.
John, I get it. I was sick for a couple weeks, and as your best friend, and as
that was fine. That was fine. Honestly, I didn't even notice. Mom had to throw us text like, "Hey, this kind of stuff." I'm like, "Hey, he's fine. He's been through worse, and I put him there." No, with all the good that's streaming and in theaters and on the stacks right now. Again, Justin knows better than most how much joy, how much escapism that the video game world can give us. Matter of fact, a very often conversation that's had between Justin and myself is, "Hey, John, did you check out this game? Did you check out that game? Did you check out this game?" And my answer almost every time was, "Nope, I am too damn busy playing Red Dead Online." And Charlie's my running boy. Charlie, how much time do we put? Like, we put in more fucking time on horseback than the goddamn New York Park Rangers do.
There is a running theme in my life that around 9 o'clock, I might like Batman before me. I might get summoned into action, but instead of a goofy bat in the night sky, it is 2 pistols and a
Yep.
cowboy's hat. And
Boo!
I am never not in the mood to fuck up John's good.
Cowboys assemble!
I come on Hormone Monster, my delightful steed, and I will kill any NPC I see, because the truth
Charlie
is,
just riding side by side with me as I'm on Rosario Dawson, my lovely horse.
named
God
with
damn it.
love, Rosario.
damn it. Yeah, of
Cousin
course.
Paul in the chat, proving we are live.
Yeah.
Come say hi. Paul, as happy as you are to see us.
YouTube checking in first. That's nice to see. Hell
I
yeah,
love
we're
when
live
YouTube
on
wins.
Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch. We're live as hell. Justin, I know we talked about it. Have you put in? I mean, clearly the hours are not going to stack up to the Brothers of Rivera, but have you put in much time tromping around Red Dead Redemption Land?
Mostly campaign. I didn't really dabble too much in online. I started when it was like early, and it was a pretty
Sure.
barren wasteland, so there wasn't really much going
the
on.
game came out 100 years ago. We have been
Yeah.
playing the online version since 2019. COVID wasn't even like a known entity.
Pre-pandemic.
Like, we were eating bats for fun back then. We're like, woo, eat a bat, ride around, shoot some bad guys in Red Dead. So you did play the campaign. Did you play it fully?
Yeah. I got like
My man.
98% done, but you got to catch all those like little shits at the end, and it lost me.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So Justin had like the Viking helmet. Justin, like, he knew when the aliens came
I was
over the
down.
shack. He found the giant bones. Like, Justin put some work in. Goddamn.
I put
I
some
love
time.
that
I put some
Justin-
time.
I love that
That's
Justin
the kind of
put
player Justin is.
Justin put in 50 hours after you had to do like farm chores.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
when I was like, "Hey, guess what, campaign? I guess we're done now because I don't do
Charlie
chores
said,
in my
I got
real
a
life."
job. And that is legitimate. Charlie said, isn't there somebody I could pay to fucking sweep up the fucking sheep shit and feed the bulls?
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Oh my god. Now exclusively the online version. Granted, when it launched, I mean, I'm not talking about when it beta launched. When it launched. I mean, sometimes you would find yourself in a lobby and there's like one other blue dot on this huge map, and you realize there's a ton that I could do right now, but all I want to do is hunt that bastard down, rope him off of the back of his horse, and just drag him.
That's Red Dead, though.
Yeah,
That's what it's for.
Woof, man, griefing
John
became
was
a
the
way of
original
life.
griefer. John
And then,
was griefer number
but
one.
like every true Western, the redemption story is there. I'm like, now I was like, fuck griefers. Now I'm gonna ride around protecting noobs from griefers. Like, that's where we had gotten. But all this happy talk is preamble to my ultimate undoing, my shattered heart. There's been a lot of rumors, but every Tuesday I was right there looking at the Reddit updates, looking for the updates, what's happening, with fingers crossed, mainly because, not just because I'm a dum-dum, but partially because I'm a dum-dum, but also because they promised us all this shit. There were things built into the game which said to you, any logical player would say, hey, there's more coming. There are new updates. There's big updates doing. There's new content coming. And Rockstar just said, hey, you know what? You look pretty comfortable standing there on that rug. Let me just go ahead and whoop and pull it out from under you, because Rockstar announced officially just the other day they are done dog with Red Dead Online. Now, they're not shutting the servers down. I don't want to send anybody into a cowboy hat-induced panic. The servers for now are still golden, but they announced no new updates. They're sending all their focus, all their attention to Grand Theft Auto and the new GTA that's coming out. Excuse me if I'm wrong. Didn't they like literally just have a huge embarrassing failure with the fucking remaster? So they're gonna take away my little horse galloping goodness because they suck at what they're due? I don't know. Like, Justin, I'll throw it to you. Do you play GTA? Have you played it online at all? Because it's a huge world.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in it like a while back.
Uh-huh.
I think they actually kind of murdered it when they added like flying cars and all that shit. And the little like scooter that you can fly on, it's got rockets and stuff. I think that it just it takes away from it. I never wanted to drive a car again, which eliminated like half the game like right off the bat. It kind of just kills it. It takes you out of the zone.
Yeah,
So
no,
after that, I kind of fell off. I did a few heists, things like that. You know, they're
the
fun, but
events, they're big events.
yeah, yeah, a lot of griefers though. Actually, the last time I played, I think I swore I'd never pick it up again. I just got griefed so hard,
Well, I
for like
mean,
a
not for
straight hour.
anything. They do pride themselves on realism, and it's a giant urban environment. So griefers do run around in that type of environment. I've seen it firsthand. Charlie, what about you? I mean, you haven't really thrown out very much
So
GTA news.
I really dig GTA in the campaign format.
Right. Story
Online,
mode.
I'm not enough of a gamer. I don't really have a crew that's available at 11 p.m. till 6 a.m.
11
minus
p.m.
my brother
Yeah,
who's a cowboy. So for me, it was a love hate relationship. I loved riding around. I loved the missions you could do kind of solo. I never found a community in that game making it worthwhile to like earn any of the perks. And the idea of spending virtual currency for like a cruise ship to be like you get special missions where you also need an army of vague acquaintances. So
Here's the thing in the online mode in particular, because obviously the story mode can do whatever it wants to you and your character.
yes.
So you could be the most accomplished criminal of all time. They start the damn game like you just got out of jail. Now, clearly, I'm not the best criminal mastermind of all time. If I'm just coming out of lockup,
Like I was previously
I've seen
busted.
Sopranos. So then you go through all this rigmarole, and like, hey, great job. Now you have $2 million, and you're like, bet, and they're like, but it's honestly like the world's largest digital game of Monopoly, where you just roll the dice the wrong way, and they're like, oh, you're bankrupt, start from scratch, you go to jail. Like, fuck you, game. However, in the online version, all those dudes that are running around, it basically it may as well be fucking, it basically may be overseas like on a man-made island because they're all rich. They are fucking millionaires. Now let me ask you guys this: if either one of you won the goddamn lottery, I'm not talking about little lotteries, scratch off level. I'm talking about like Powerball level. Are you still working?
No.
No. Justin, how about yourself? Are you
Probably
working?
not.
Are you punching a goddamn clock? Are you dealing with the likes
I'm
of me
podcasting-
complaining on a daily basis?
probably
No!
not.
None of you
Podcasting to
are.
no one.
So if we're a fucking criminal and we've got millions in the bank, this is what I don't understand about 99% of the fucking action movies out there. If I am an ultra rich criminal, I'm not working anymore. I'm not going to continue like, what criminal activity am I going to do today? No, I'm going to sit there. I'm going to put my furry ass feet up and fucking drink a little margarita on the beach someplace. It is stupid. They're millionaires running around shooting up the city. What's wrong with you? That's good, valuable real estate. Fuck GTA. Why are you killing Red Dead? To throw attention towards that bullshit. I do not get it. I'm so upset.
I mean, what I don't get is that community is stuck around. Those servers went from very few people on it to people finding a way to have fun every time we sign on. And again, there's probably not that many lobbies, but it's a full-ass world to the point where we have to deal with griefers.
There's a
You
ton
and
of
I have
lobbies every time we jump on, like bare knuckle boxing fucking circuits started. Like, is there anything better than helping a noob fucking bring in like a highly wanted fucking bounty? Like, the game is just so much fun. And actually, I spoke about it just the other day. It is without question. There's no close second place in my mind. And I've played some huge open world space games and fantasy games and this, that, and the other thing. The fucking Assassin's Creed fucking games are gorgeous. The one that was just in Rome, Vikings. I mean, like, there are some beautiful, beautiful games on. I would put Red Dead against any of them in a beauty pageant. A goddamn digital
100%.
picture taken within the game won a contest for digital photography. And that shit ain't real. Like, fuck off, man. I think they really the only thing close to this would be if a network canceled a beloved show of yours, and you just lay there crying into your pillow. Maybe another network will pick it up, but that shit doesn't happen in video game land.
This is fucking Firefly all over again,
Oh,
and I
my
will
God.
not go quietly tonight. You know what? I think honestly, the most tragic part of Red Dead Online going away, not getting updates, being kind of stuck in this level of unfinished quasi promises. Shit was in the code. They never turned it on. They never broke the game. Justin, you brought up a great point with GTA. At some point, they went, fuck it. Flying cars. If I was at Rockstar, before we stopped trying to monetize Red Dead Online, you have in Grand Theft Auto, you already have a knockoff DeLorean. Have a fucking time machine show up. Have a store, just try it. I
Grand Theft
refuse
Auto
to
is a
believe.
hacker's dream. They have Superman hacks and Hulk hacks and fucking everybody naked hacks.
Just
It's
imagine,
just so dumb.
Imagine a world though where, because you would play it. You're the guy that would be least for. But if someone was like, "Hey John, if you fight Bigfoot, you can win a fucking BMX bike, would just
DMX.
Got
bark
me in.
as it went. But at least try before you abandon hope. Go goofy. Every day when someone logs on, they randomly get an Uzi. I just want to see what the fuck happens. A time cop mode where I go back in time to stop
be
crime
sick.
from a future time. Let's fucking go stupid before we abandon hope.
They've
Unacceptable,
gone
Rockstar.
stupid. They've gone stupid. So, Justin, let me ask you. So, I mean, clearly this is the great broken heart of my life. And it's a long chapter, quite frankly. For this to be the fucking one that just put me over the edge, that's saying something. Rockstar. But let me ask you, as big of a gamer as you are, we should have brought Teddy in from The Office on this too, because Teddy is, forget about criminal millionaire, Teddy is a criminal billionaire in that fucking game. But that being said, what video game broke your tender heart? Because this is not a new story. I realize it. People have these stories.
I mean, you mentioned it earlier, that remake for GTA. I was pretty hyped for that.
Yeah.
Avengers, though, I think probably broke my heart. They've been saying they have a roadmap coming out for the last 8-9 months. Listen, not a single thing has been added, which is fine. But then, last week, they have the nerve to just come through and drop the mighty Thor. So there was not a word forever, and then a new character gets added, and here's Natalie Portman, just a skin of Thor, no differences. And you know what? That shit hurt, because I'm one of 13 people that play Avengers still,
trusted
and
you.
10 of them are in my lobby. So
No.
that shit kind of hurt a little bit.
The fact
disgusting.
that that's acceptable. We need a council of elders that
Yeah.
are video game crime. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Poor
Yeah.
Justin has been suckered into Mountain Dew skins
I haven't slept
for
in weeks.
knockoff fucking Steve Rogers. For months on end.
Oof.
Hey, you'll get Spider-Man in 7 months. Just wait. Playing some of the most fucking repetitive, but we've all been there. We've all loved the game.
What's your heartbreak, Charlie?
Oh, mine's different because I just stink at video games. But
Yeah, no, it's
Resident
true. I
Evil
played with
2
you.
is one of my favorite games of all time. And I'm so bad at it. The remake is this weird pulling teeth process where I slowly chip away at it. And then I get too goddamn scared. Or I get eaten by every fucking zombie that the game can find. Or I run out of bullets and I need to go back to a save from fucking 2 months ago. Resident Evil 2, as glorious as the remake is, I have the opposite problem you two have. Resident Evil shit's so good, it has become unplayable for me. Because
Love
the
the
first time I
remakes,
played
man.
Resident Evil 2, I held the map for John. And I was like, turn down the spooky corridor. That's our only option, little Charlie. But I still
Playing
fucking
in
felt
the
involved.
dark, in the basement. Oh God!
Those remakes, man, they slap.
Woo, every
Resident Evil.
creaky door. I'm like, like my penis was permanently fucking between my butt cheeks for safety. I'm like, no, they're not gonna get him.
Also,
not Mr. Salty.
when I was very young, I tried like a sexual innuendo joke with John while playing Resident Evil 2, and he turned to me so disgusted. I didn't try telling a dirty joke for like another decade, and then I don't stop.
Yeah, now it's a never-ending stream of filth. But look, I mean, ultimately, what, no matter what, I should say, I was gonna be hurt by it. But the fact that they had set up so many dominoes that, like, look, we're gonna knock these over. Properties that you can own, borders that you had been looking at forever, but like you see territory. Mexico was supposed to open up, like these little chain of islands was supposed to open up. Never mind all of like the new missions, or I think Capitale was the last big update that Red Dead got, and the entire group of people that played it were so on top of it. Again, a weekly basis we were there. We would all show up on Tuesdays. What's like, like fucking, like whatchamacallit, Tyrone Big was like, oh, you got any new horses for me? New shotgun? Like, we were there for it, and they promised us all this stuff, and they didn't deliver. Ultimately, because Rockstar is a bunch of goddamn liars. Just like that certain chinless, bearded sumbitch, George Toy Boy Lucas is a liar. So put him up, boys. Put him up. Han shot first. Clink. Double gulp. Double gulper.
I started dieting, and I stopped eating at 4 today.
Listen,
boy.
The alcohol burn is going to chew off a few calories, so don't you fucking worry about it.
So listen, boys, there are some undeniables in this world. There are some facts, right? We unfortunately are in positions where we have to work. We have to sustain our bodies. We got to drink fluids. There's a lot of stuff we got to do, and when it comes down to comic book blockbusters, I've invested 37 years of my existence, even baby Charlie, swaddled in a Superman bedsheet. I bleed this shit. I love this shit. So it's not a matter of, is Charlie gonna see a comic book movie or a TV show? It's when. And the current state of the internet is such a disgusting pit of despair and loneliness that some people get joy out of only one thing, and that's spoiling
porn.
Sorry. Nothing bad about porn. I thought you were going. They need to spoil moments after something is released. So I wind up going on this internet-free chunks of time, very good for my mental health, until I see something. I tell you all of that to tell you this. Did I just recover from COVID hours ago? Yes. Have I already seen Thor, Love and Thunder? Yes. Is Taika Waititi one of my absolute favorite creative minds in all of the multiverse? Yes. Did I love Thor, Love and Thunder? Fuck no. What the fuck happened to this fucking flick? Shocking. First, mostly, boys, have you seen, have you grabbed your Mjolnirs, have you teleported, because that's a thing it does on its own? Have you guys checked out the shortest Marvel movie to date?
I mean, I grabbed my Stormbreaker to go see it, but goddamn right I did, Justin.
Yeah, no, I was there.
Guys, never have I ever seen a movie with 12 stories I was interested in, and the movie told me goddamn none of them. So obviously, huge spoiler warning.
Cousin Paul is right with you.
One hell of a drop in Thor, Love and Blunder. Fellas, I'm just gonna dive in.
Well, hold on. Let's go around the clock, and then you could take control back. Justin, What did you think of it?
All right, so it's hard to compare it to kind of anything else that Marvel's been pumping out, especially
Fair.
last phase. Pretty quickly on, I realized that I got to brace myself for comedy mode and not serious story or really anything mode. Once I accepted that about 10, 15 minutes in, I enjoyed the ride, but I think it's a sloppily written disaster piece.
All right. So Charlie is officially on a thumbs down.
Well, double back to me.
What would you pet? Charlie's like, I'm everything. So Charlie, just on a scale of 1 to 10,
Yeah, it's a
because
4.
Charlie is a habitual line maker. It's a 4.
It's
Okay.
a 4, which
Strong.
places it comfortably better than Dark World.
Here it is. He can't help himself.
But it's like, I'd much rather watch Iron Man 2 than
It's a-
Love and Blunder.
It's a 4 for Charlie. Justin, what about you? What do you think?
I'd go either like a 7.5, maybe an 8.
Okay, that's very strong as far as
But
I'm concerned.
mostly because I would watch it more than I would a more serious, better written movie.
Sure.
Because I'd rather laugh and have a good time than, like sit through like a dark world, I guess.
Yeah,
But
that's a good way to put it. Myself personally, I am comfortable putting my stamp on it as a meh. It was okay. Like it definitely had
Fair.
some yucks for me. And Charlie, I do agree with you. Taika Waititi's stamp was all over it. It was absolutely all over it. However, I also agree with Justin. Certain story aspects of it. Look, we're all wannabe directors ultimately. Like we've seen so much content at this point, we can't but help sitting back and be like, interesting choice. What I definitely would have done would be like fill in the blank. We all fucking do it now. If this was a series, we all do the same thing. We're like, I bet that this is going to lead to X, Y, and Z, and then this is going to happen, and we've got the fucking Charlie Day board with all the red ribbon going all over the place like we were trying to bring down the mob in the 70s. So, that being said, for me, it was okay. Like, it was okay for me. That being said, I would put it at a 6.5. A passing grade. You're not going to have to sit through summer school, Taika Waititi. I didn't love it. It was okay. Would I watch it again? Absolutely, because it had certain moments in it where I was like, oh shit, look at this. Oh shit,
Well,
look at that.
that
and
is
that for
ultimately-
me, that's what makes it like rewatchable for me.
Exactly.
But I agree with Justin. Like
it's
the
fun to watch at
plots,
that point.
and it was ultimately kind of like Phase 4. What the fuck are you doing? But Charlie, I'll give it right back to you. 'Cause I know
I'm
you were
gonna
driving
wrestle
towards
back
the point. Dude,
Stormbreaker
I
from
just
you.
gave it to you, but
I'm
no
taking
wrestling
it though,
involved.
as you can
Dude,
offer it, but I'm fucking
wrestling.
taking it.
God
It's choosing
damn.
me. Here's the thing about Marvel at this point.
I have
though.
Mjolnir. That's fine. You can have that.
Marvel and DC, they're my stories, and I've never read a bad comic because it's a comic. It might not be in my favorite pile. I may never want to read that shit again, but I've never left the experience not having been grateful for the experience. And you guys kind of hit the nail on the head, as it were, because every single one of these movies, TV shows have moments, or even sometimes a singular moment, but have moments that move me and that earn my adoration and have me yearn for these stories to be as good as possible. And in this movie, again, we're going spoiler heavy. The second post-credit scene is officially
Spoilers,
was-
ladies and gentlemen, spoilers.
if it was 1 second longer, and I'm holding out hope that they're going to
Say it one more
do
time,
this.
Charlie. The second.
The second post-credit scene.
Yeah,
If it goes 1 second longer,
with Gladiator.
no, Gladiator, not Gladiator. You're thinking of, I forget his name now because you stole it
Hercules?
from my brain.
Russell
Hercules.
Crowe?
Yeah.
Hercules is the first.
Oh,
is the
I have
first
them
tag.
inverted. I'm sorry.
The second tag is sweet Lady Thor, just Thor if you're nasty. She winds up going into the Thorian afterlife.
Valhalla.
Now the thing about Valhalla that the movie establishes so beautifully on any sort of analysis is there's only one way to go to Valhalla. You must die in glorious battle. And I've seen some people call it out that Jane does not die in battle. Bullshit. The movie makes it very clear that this woman, who we've had in this universe for a long time, she took some time off, but she's been there since early Avengers stuff. She was battling cancer and lost. And that moved me to this weird, beautiful, emotional place that Marvel is so good at threading some of these emotional needles. Now, if that scene goes 1 second longer and she rejects Valhalla, rejects paradise to return for that love that this movie is so clearly said about, and if they replicate that Thor Dark World scene where she's waiting for him, and finally he appears on the other side of that fucking Thor beam, then you elevate this whole all the warts in this movie. Then don't lose me. So that moment with Jane, where it's the battle of the cancer, is why she makes it to Valhalla. That's one of the scenes. This movie has a bunch that explode my fucking heart. And that lack of balance, this weird tumble dry that this movie went through in an edit somewhere where it lost its momentum and it lost its heart. Before I kick it to you guys, because what I'm really interested in,
very strong, but okay.
What I'm very interested in what you guys loved, what moment sticks out to you as elevating this flick. That's what I want to know in just a second. But this movie isn't short of reasons to love it. It's in this next scene. We need a thing to get to a place. Some of the character choices were weird. The biggest thing for me, compared to Ragnarok, a movie I love, was that in Ragnarok, Thor isn't in on the joke. And it makes him so endearing. In this movie, he was very in on the joke, and it took a lot away from me. But John, I'm going to kick it to you. What in Thor, Love and Thunder?
Just real quick, only because you kind of like powered through a lot of points, and I do want to touch on them.
Respectful time.
Fuck time. Originally, we were gonna do this at like 10 o'clock at night. Fuck it. So just to be clear, you were watching the flick. You're like, fuck this movie. Then credits roll, and you see the Valhalla scene. And you're like, oh, that one got me though. So let me ask you a stupid question: had they gone the route that you kind of and it is a lovely sentiment. Had they gone that route of like, no, you know what? This is my man, right? This is my guy. This fucking, look at his hair. He clearly conditions every day. I don't know when he happens to do it because I didn't see no shower on the Guardian ship. Had she gone that way of like unrequited love, and this is the choice I'm gonna make. You and your new adopted child. I'm all about it. Let's raise our new normal family. Had you gotten that moment,
yeah,
how much would it have elevated the movie in its entirety for you?
Sticking the landing,
yeah,
I think is vital.
Sure.
I think it elevates it huge. I think it winds up bookending.
So it would take it from
doubles my score
from that one. Wow, that's strong.
Because what it does is it restructures everything to be a much more clear path for fucking everybody.
Now here's the thing though also, and Justin, I'm going to throw this directly to you because there has been a lot of chatter about. I mean, it's unescapable, in this current day and age. Director's cuts. Now, the Justice League situation was a completely isolated, put it in a pocket, put it up on the shelf, put a nice collector case around it, let it collect dust, shake it off when times get tough, put it on the market. Go on eBay. We'll talk about that with Justin's new business endeavor in a moment. But that all being said, Taika Waititi's like, fuck a director's cut. I hate them shits. Which is the ultimate irony. Well, naturally, that's part of the reason why I love the man. Because I very much also as well as agree with him. But the funny thing was, there was a huge chunk of story of scenes, I should say, because ultimately, you can't assume that was all like story building. It might have been just like people crossing the street bullshit. I don't know, but to a certain degree, you know that it wasn't, because you're talking about scenes that involved fucking Jeff Goldblum, Peter Dinklage, Lena Headey, who we have not Headey rather that who have we have never seen in anything Marvel as far as I know. So she would have been a completely new character, hot as hell. Last time we saw her, she was in the worst season of Game of Thrones. But she came really close to showing me her boobies in 300, so I still very much appreciate that. Thank you, Lena. So like there were big things fucking cut from it. So um, I have to wonder how much of that, because I do agree with you both. I feel like it was a muddy, muddy
Muddy's a
overall
great
story.
word.
There was a lot of stuff happening. Gore the God Butcher is such a straightforward fucking concept. I look terrible. I'm like a nightmare version of Gollum, and Powder had a baby, and somebody gave me the world's worst sword if you're a god. And I'm running around, and yeah, my fucking kid, that sucks. It was funny. It's like he can't get away from that Batman angst. Like, one person thought, yeah, you're killing fucking entire world. Well, regardless. But so Justin, I'm sure you heard about that, like these big fucking scenes and stuff like that. So I mean, was there anything in particular that you would have wanted to see from Thor, Love and Thunder, that you could have inserted? Like, were you sitting there being like, just give me this or just give me that, and now I'm a happy camper?
I mean, it's hard to pinpoint something particularly.
So there were a few somethings.
Yeah, it's more just like the structure of it all, and I also kind of think Bale's character was a bit underwhelming, especially for the hype that I feel like was being built up for him
Well,
for like
he
months
is
regarding this.
he is nightmare fuel in the comics. I'm
Yeah,
like,
and
ugh, I don't even want to look at this. He looks like a fucking. He looks like an albino's penis grew teeth. Ugh, the comic is so gross.
I just feel like in this one, compared from Dark World to Ragnarok, everyone loved Ragnarok. It finally like lightened up a little bit. There was some humor in there. I think Charlie nailed it too. Thor was always outside of the joke, which really
Yeah,
made it
yeah.
funny in itself. And then I think that they just took like those positive feedback and then only applied that to the new movie. Like they didn't care really much about having like a solid structure or like a straightforward storyline. They just wanted to make like somebody laugh at all times, which personally, like I'm always down for. So I said I'll watch it again. It's
Sure.
a fun
Summertime
watch.
movie.
Yeah, but I watched Ragnarok the next day, and you can very clearly see the difference in the level of love put into both the story and even just the
Hmm.
writing, the lines, the scenes. Ragnarok has it, and Love and Thunder really just wanted to make you laugh. So I can't really think of at the moment like scenes that I think would have made it better because I think I have a pretty big problem with it overall.
Gotcha.
Um,
I
I
gotcha.
would probably be rewriting a
What's
lot of shit
what's
if
Fair.
funny
I was hopping
though
in
More than
that chair.
fair.
What's funny though is specifically just because you mentioned Ragnarok has one of the most out of the fucking blue. It's in the middle of all these like leg slaps, having a good time. We're fucking kicking back popcorn. Ragnarok is a good fucking time of a film. And
Fantastic.
then Loki and Thor are in that elevator. And suddenly there's this scene that again grew my fucking Grinch heart seven sizes where he's just like, Loki, I adored you. I loved you so much. I was so impressed by
Charlie always
and
goes
it,
for the bad boys all the time. He just can't help himself.
I didn't
Let's
say
keep
that.
breaking
Thor
his
said
heart.
that shit. But in that
But
scene,
Charlie
it,
was like, me too. Me
that's
too,
true.
Thor."
There's those moments elevate everything around them because you almost need the warm embrace of like now fucking Hulk do something hilarious.
Sure.
And there are some people that are like, there's too much Taika in this and bullshit because I've begged for Marvel movies that have way more like auteur filmmaking. I want to see the director. I want to see the writing team take these toys and play with them their way. Don't break the world. Don't break the universe. And in some ways, Love and Thunder does break what's come before and after it, not irreparably, but
Well, no,
regardless.
because it's a fucking comic book movie, and Cousin Paul raises a really
It's a
good
valid
point.
point.
I'm gonna bring it back up. So Cousin Paul says, quote, "Please explain how Thor was able to give a bunch of kids Thor powers. When has he ever had that ability? And why didn't he use that during Endgame or any other time?" I'm happy to answer that, Paul. He don't. He does not
Well,
have
it
that
was
fucking
here's
power. He
here's
doesn't.
where I am a convoluted boy. I don't give a fuck. You tell me that lightning bolt can do that, temporarily give him fucking Zeus's powers. Dude, that scene is one of the high marks of that movie.
Well, to
that
see-
scene is
to see-
wonderful.
So the movie promised us from the poster, from the jump, it's like, you like
I was
Thor?
promised Love and Thunder.
Here's two of them. So we've got he Thor and she Thor running around, and we fucking knew it, and we paid our good money. Not so much Charlie, because he is
They
a
sound like
goddamn
attorneys.
Russian. I mean, can we
I don't
make
know what
that
you're
movie,
talking about.
please? Kevin, looking at you, Mr. Smith. Yeah, again, he has never had that power at all. Now, I do agree with Charlie in so much as, like, I kind of didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
In particular,
At that point in the movie, especially.
if one wanted to sit down and write like see, what had happened was they probably could, between the fucking black and white world and the ultimate reality, and then like fucking Jane kind of, I'm a big stickler for, look, if you're gonna change something from the comics to a movie or any adaptation, movie, series, fucking novel, whatever the case, make it make sense to me. Like, to me specifically, not as like the fucking cross my finger like, I hate this because it's different. That has not been me since I'm a child. And anyone who is like that is a fucking child. So that didn't bother me much. Matter of fact, another reason why I'm pretty confident Marvel has my immediate proximity bugged. They steal fucking ideas from me almost ad nauseum. Granted, sometimes I don't say them out loud until afterwards. I fucking thought of that. I invented the iPod after it comes out. What I had said years ago with fucking Shazam was, look, the Shazam family is a terrible fucking idea. Having them all running around with powers equal to and as impressive as Shazam, who you just fucking met like 5 minutes ago when that movie dropped, was so goddamn dumb, because you could have had purple Shazam, fucking green Shazam, gray Shazam, gay Shazam. You could have had all these tiny little girl Shazam in a very hot bitch's body, which is giving me all kinds of irresponsible and uncomfortable feelings. So
please.
that being said, I'm sitting there and thinking, fuck, because DC put me in a place at that moment of like, well, this is better than the shit sandwiches that they've been putting in front of our faces at lunchtime. But I'm like, I can't, if I'm being honest with nobody but myself, it's not great. It just ain't great. And my thought was, well, fucking Big Mouth, fix it then. And how I would have fixed it, and how Marvel fucking listened in, and then whatever devices they have built into this apartment was, I'm like, all right, if he needs to be kind of more places at once than just the immediate one-to-one, then he can take, if he's at 100% Shazam power, he can say, look, here's my the family that I love and that I trust to do the right thing. 10% for you, 10% for you, 10% for you, 10% for you, 9% for Charlie, because he's still a little bit sketchy. 11% for Justin, because he's all right. This guy's all right. So now you have Shazam have reallocated 50% of his power, 10 at a time, to his little family members. So they're now Shazam lights. They can go and they can deal with minor demons over here. They can go over here and deal with fucking little baddies over here, whilst he still can deal with the big bad. And now you want to talk about interesting storytelling. Now this is Rocky in the fucking 12th round. One eyeball hanging out of his face, lumbering forward. Still doesn't really know how to box or defend himself, but he's still gonna fight. So that's what a hero does, right? Hero goes into the fight, doesn't know how it's gonna work out for him or her personally, but right is right. You do what you gotta do. So Shazam is gonna step to the big bad at 50 fucking percent because he's allocated power elsewhere to go save the day where he could not. That's some hero making shit. So in that sense, I said two things. Self, Marvel fucked you again. Shazam should have done a very similar thing, but also as well as Paul, to answer the long way around to answer your question, they on paper they can have justified that just like that because they're clearly Marvel is clearly watching this podcast. So they can justify it even if Thor wasn't 100% Thor powered up at that time. But I also agree with Charlie at that stage in the game. I just didn't give a fuck. I really didn't care.
That's fair. That's fair.
You know what the bigger problem for me was, and I do eventually want to double back and find out what you guys loved because that's kind of the way I want to end it.
Sure.
The Marvel's current obsession with redeemable heels is officially fucking annoying. Stop it. Gore's allowed to just be a cunt. That ending scene should have been Mjolnir crushing his dumb fucking face. And then if you want to end with Love and Thor rocking so they have a name for the fucking movie, have that be Jane's wish. In the last moment where she could be selfish, she's still so fucking awesome. And I hope she comes back as a Valkyrie like in the comics. She wishes that Thor always has someone to love. Her time's over. Better than fucking Gore. Your mission was to kill gods. Why the fuck did you ever stop, bro? Now you're going on the side quest to introduce a character that's wildly interesting, but totally unneeded. Fuck off.
But can I put just a counterpoint to that?
Sure.
Just speaking for myself.
Of how mad I was. Then I'm like, sure, yeah, I'm very rational.
That's fine. I'm just talking on my ass. It's fine. I don't even believe in Thor. I'm a Jesus guy. Who, by the way, was fucking in the holy fucking holy hangout city. So,
was he?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't see. No way.
Specifically, they didn't show him. They showed a ton of people. They showed a fucking ton of gods, fucking celestials. Like there were a lot of
brown
like
ones.
But there certainly absolutely was like fucking
not
Aztec gods. Oh, Charlie's reverse racist. But that all being said, I had a lot of fucking, point at the screen memes. I did a lot, and I was surrounded by more people that I should have really been embarrassed by. But that all said, especially with the movie being structured, being what it was up to that point, if the Charlie cut gave me that fucking saccharine sweet, like, ew, no, I love you so much, I'm gonna use... the bitch hadn't seen him in like fucking half a decade. He left her fucking smoke coming out of her fucking nostrils. Get the fuck out of here, man. Like, I've got t-shirts that are older than their relationship. John, if she's like, you know what? I will fucking give up the rest of my life, all of the research that I could have done in the scientific community just for one day more with Goldilocks. Get the fuck out of here. I might have thrown popcorn at the screen.
See, but
Boo!
that's totally acceptable that you feel that way. But you're wrong. Justin, what was something about Thor: Love and Thunder you loved?
Charlie.
I want to jump back real quick because it's
do it.
I never thought twice about Thoring all those kids, but I'm also not that deep into it, so I just assumed it was a power.
That sounds like a legal fucking Thor bringing you in
adventure.
First degree Thoring those little kids.
I never thought twice about it. I thought it was a power that I missed, so I was cool with it.
Yeah,
but
who gives a fuck?
I love comics for that.
At this point, though,
you probably have that power.
After Leia flies through space, anything can happen at any time. So I'm like, you know what?
Please, come on.
I'm all about it. Let's go. I can't without bringing the Last Jedi into it. I always got to throw the fist when I can. But
that's a rule.
So after that, I feel like there's a lot of shit that I never really thought twice about.
Sure.
Can that happen, or has it ever happened before?
Right.
I just kind of gave up on that stuff, and I'm more in it for the ride. I would say my favorite part, though, it started off strong. I didn't really like the use of Guns N' Roses. It was a little
They
heavy, in my
really
opinion.
tried to fix some scenes
The
with
dude,
the soundtrack.
didn't
the
really
little
know what I
dude's,
would've-
the son's name was Axel.
Yeah,
Which
they
is
were
pretty
really
awesome.
heavy in
They
that.
were
They had the
fucking
t-shirts, the
way in.
posters.
Could you imagine though
Like,
that
did
they
Slash
reached out?
fucking win a bet against one of these motherfuckers, or like poker night or something?
But the
Imagine
problem is,
if
like,
they
you grab the
pulled a
radio hits,
Highlander
you know?
though. Imagine if they got one of those bands to do the whole fucking album. Like that
Yikes.
could have elevated this. Like the
Depends on the
karaoke
band, though.
aspect
Depends
killed
on
me
the
a bit.
band because look, I mean,
I just want Queen to do it.
not
Time
to
Machine,
go-
Queen.
So it always comes down to a Queen with Charlie every fucking time. It's unbelievable. But yeah, no, just to go sideways, like everybody lost their mind about Kate Bush for popping up in Stranger Things. I'm like, it's good that she's getting a check because it's the first time maybe in decades. That song sucks. That song sucks. Like, yeah, that would have brought me back from the fucking Upside Down. Also, to be like, boom, change the channel. That bullshit. But Justin,
John's
finish what you're
absolute to the
saying, brother.
best.
No, just like I was in it for the ride, so I like the intro with the Guardians. I kind of wish we saw a little bit more of that, to be honest.
100%.
They were in
I
and
mean,
gone.
they were.
I was
more.
like,
And it was the
that
best 10
awesome
minutes,
Thor
honestly.
costume deserved more than its 8 minutes of. First of all,
Costume was sick.
you know where people lose me that agree with me? Like other people who are like, I didn't like this movie. It's a 4. Charlie's right. If they're thinking that it's a 4 because of like the splits and because of the goats, yo, you and I are on different levels. Cause all
Thor,
that
Added a
shit,
point.
Claude Van Damme.
bro,
I was
me
like,
watching that.
yay!
I love that bullshit.
Simpleton.
Probably the worst parts were the parts that I was like, yay! I was so enamored with some of the silliness.
Well, but that's the thing, and Justin again makes a good point. Like when it was fun, it was very very fun. But when you're looking at it through a certain prism, like through a certain lens of, if you just watch this movie, ultimately, you really didn't need much before it. So
Yeah.
we kind of just teased like what the fuck is going on with Phase 4. I if someone asked me who had not seen any of the Phase 4 installations, including the TV shows, because that's a huge part of it now at this stage in the game, I really could not tell them. I couldn't tell them, well, we're exploring the multiverse and there's going to be multiverse leakage. Maybe. Or maybe fucking Sony's like, thanks a lot for all the effort. We're going to do our own thing. We didn't see not one fucking spider leg in Doctor Strange. And he was ripping through fucking realities right and left.
He's out. I'm telling you.
Other, I mean, you could be right. You could be right. But on the same token, what you're left with is this secret invasion? Is this secret wars? Is this the Doctor Strange multiverse situation? I really don't know. And when you look at the shows in particular as being the lead-ins, Loki, multiverse. If I was gun to my head and said, well, Kang's the new big bad. We only fucking saw him the one time. Like, nothing has even been teased. Whereas with Thanos, we couldn't get away from that fucking grimace-looking motherfucker.
They said it. They were like, "Hey, you got any stones, baby? You got them stones?"
They fucking name-dropped him like a celebrity, and you were out on a first date. But they're like, we know the fucking guys from U.S. Comics Cast, but also as well as Justin. But that all being said, I did find my fun moments. Here's the thing, and this is something that I want to take around the horn real quick before I give my final, my happiest moment. Thor is at this stage the only Marvel character within the Marvel universe, putting aside all the different variants of other characters that we've had. Thor is the only motherfucker who's had 4 movies. Never mind standalone movies. Never mind all the other times that they've peppered him in to Avengers, this and that and the other thing, right? So, 2 thoughts that came to mind, Charlie, with what you were talking about was, it's almost less believable that he can share his Thor powers with a bunch of little fucking kids than it is to think that you're going to have a character, an individual person, regardless of his or her immortality, right? That window of time is very short for him compared to, like, say, fucking Jane or fucking Big Tits McGee, who we haven't seen since WandaVision. But to say I want Thor to be the same in each of these installments, that's not great storytelling, right? So if Thor was just like never mind being a participant, if he is just a decoration in his fucking movies, then it's problematic. So I think that you do need to see some kind of character growth. Granted, you're not always gonna like it. Sometimes you're gonna get a Thor 4, and you're like, well, shit, I like Thor Mark 3 better than Thor Mark 4, but that shit happens in real life. Like, people like me less and less. Every episode they come back to shut up. Don't agree with me.
Maybe it's because you take over topics.
Well,
you son of a bitch.
That's just the Thanos in
John
me.
pulled a Loki on me. He's like, this is really Loki 3.
I'm like, Charlie, you're really great. Here, magical knife. But that all being said, look, characters do change, and granted, yes, Paul, Eternity was poorly used. I'm hoping that they do revisit it, but
they have to, because that little girl got some Eternity powers.
That's true. That is true. But again, Marvel is also like fucking infamous for like, oh, remember this thing? Here it is. Never see it again. And you
never see Hercules again.
Or we just ruin everything. Oh, hella good job taking over fucking Thorland. She 100% accomplished her goal. Like, great job. Now we're gonna fucking destroy it. Enjoy that, bitch.
But at least in the last moment, she was like, I want to bring back Mjolnir. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Be a villain.
But
nerd.
to answer Charlie's question and to let him wrap it up. Ultimately, my feeling was this was Thor Love and Thunder. What was Jane's character named again? When she had the fucking blonde locks and the hammer? And Mjolnir specifically?
Mighty Thor?
She's Thor.
Yeah.
So this movie, the arguments that I've heard, like walking out of the theaters, because, sorry, Russia, I'm not Charlie, I actually paid. Walking out of the theater, the thing that I was hearing was not these legitimate, like, well, the story was muddied. Well, I didn't like it as much as Ragnarok. Well, I didn't see as much of Taika as I thought I would, which I disagree with. What I heard almost exclusively was, this wasn't even a Thor movie, it was a Jane movie. Yeah.
I also disagree with that person.
But regardless, Thor Love and Thunder was Jane. Her name is Thor. The movie wasn't called Thor Odinson. It was just called Thor.
Also, though,
Jane Thor. That's
the end of the movie proves that the real title of this is Jane, anonymous little eternity-powered back from the dead zombie girl, Odinson. Like they're called Love and Thunder. The movie's not. This podcast isn't called John, Justin, and More John. As much as
could it be?
John might. I mean, we can figure it out. The last thing I want to say, one thing that was glaring to me, and ultimately I will watch this movie again. A few days ago, I was like, I'll never watch this shit again. I forgot Disney Plus is the thing. I'm absolutely going to watch the shit out of it. If you take Valkyrie out of this movie, and I love Valkyrie. I love King Valkyrie.
You completely could have.
But if you take Tessa Thompson out, and if you plug Lady Sif in,
which you
one arm and all, this is a movie ultimately about love, right? She loved Thor. That is unrequited love. Now she's going on a journey for boy Thor to go to Lady Thor. She has to see Jane as Mighty Thor. Suddenly you have such an interesting extra player in this game. And I love Valkyrie. I want all the Valkyrie I can get. Give her a fucking 20-episode series. I'll lap that shit up.
Give Valkyrie her own show, like going through the rigmarole of having to change as a character from a fucking drunken warrior mess to a leader of people, which is now her responsibility on Earth. And yeah, they did Lady Sif dirty
Again!
but here's the thing: they did
Word.
the fucking the Warriors 3.
Oh, I mean, at least they made
What's
fun
the
of it this
group?
time.
But
He
I'm
called
saying,
them that
like,
one, that one, and that one. I'm like, at least you'd make you fuck
yeah, at least you acknowledge you're fucking just dissing in the.
because that
fucking
was him
town.
being like, my bad, in the Taika way.
Yeah, they did them poorly, but yeah, I mean I give you credit, Charlie. That's a fair thought because the only thing I was thinking was, what's the point of any of these motherfuckers wearing any kind of armor at all when it is clearly so easy to just hack off of? It may as well have been lightsabers in fucking Star Wars because there were appendages flying off in this entire series willy-nilly, dare I say.
I hope she gets the robot arm Thor rocks, and I hope she has a bigger part in Thor 5. John,
We'll see.
Justin, my beautiful friends, none of this glorious podcast action would be possible without me and two very important other elements. And I say this from the bottom of my love and thunder heart. It couldn't be done without me once again and our wonderful sponsors. Ladies and gentlemen,
baby.
this episode of US Comics Cast, which is available on iTunes and anywhere you can download podcast action. We are live every Wednesday on the YouTube, on the Twitch, on the Facebook. None of this would be worth it to me because no one would be throwing me delicious money like one of my favorite bands of all time. And that, of course, is the band that opened up the show, none other than Bad Mary. You can follow across all social media at Bad Mary Band. What's great, though, is if you're one of the brilliant bastards that watches this live or very soon after it finishes up being live, so it's still kind of live to you, you can check out this Friday Bad Mary at the glorious Mr. Barry's in Bethpage, New York. Their show is at 8. They're playing with some awesome bands. You might be able to see some beautiful Latin monsters there as well. And for those of you that are listening to this a month from now, you silly goons, you can check out their brand new EP because that drops July 26th. We got Rock and Roll Classics Volume 7. We got original songs from, again, one of my absolute favorite bands of all time, Bad Mary Band. Follow them on social media. You can support them financially over on patreon.com/Bad Mary. Throw them some money. Buy a t-shirt, buy a CD. The best part is all their music is available across every music streaming app. So check out their discography today, John.
Charlie, how the hell was that fucking spot so long and you forgot to mention the Bowery Electric literally hours from now with the Dolly Rots, Doppelgang, all kinds of.
Well, because I don't think anyone could make that
fancy
show,
pants.
John. You
If
ran my topic. You're gonna run my ad.
If they're
you have
watching
your own
this
goddamn
video
ads
right now, if you're listening
I'm
to
out
it,
of here. It's
you
not just
need
because I have to
check
pay.
out the video because sometimes you get more and more recent. Finally, Justin, we got it to ourselves, buddy. But also, as well as, you got to ask yourself, where are we dropping? And the answer is not in New York anymore. Now we're dropping in Florida because Sergeant Finesse has picked up sticks and taken the entire Finesse clan down to Florida. But you can still find him gaming on both Twitch and Facebook, multiple streams every day. Soon enough, because the bunker is reopening, I think, on Friday. But it's outstanding video game content, supporter games, co-streams, giveaways. Don't be a sucker. Check them out today. But also, as well as if you need to pick me up, follow the White Rabbit over to sneakenergy.com. Almost dropped that drink. That would have been a disaster. Ooh, use code SGT at checkout. Also, though, that being said, look, when the sergeant's on deck, you salute. He will be back with us pretty soon. He's getting all situated down in Florida. But also, and friends of Bad Mary, friends of US Comics Cast, I just recently shared the stage with her, Miss Kara Burke. Her and her bandmates just dropped a dope EP. Check it out. She and they are a guest sponsor of today's episode. Enter the Cosmic. Their EP dropped self-named EP. The band is named Enter the Cosmic. So is the EP. You can check it out on all stream. It's streaming on all major platforms right damn now. If you go see them live, they sell CDs as well. You can find them on Facebook, on Instagram. Enter the Cosmic. They're just dope. As a matter of fact, if you stick around towards the very end, you just might hear one of their tunes. They're gonna like tag team slap them in and cover for Bad Mary this week. Dope band. Very, very good music. You're gonna enjoy it as much as I did, I'm sure. But also, as well as, we have a second special guest, Pop, to promote our very own Justin. Oh, Charlie's still there. Justin getting into the vinyl business, kids.
Oh, baby.
Oh, yeah.
New
Thank you.
online venture. I call it Electronic Bay, eBay for short. Justin, tell them where they can find all of this vinyl goodness. Granted, not the couple that I personally picked out. You can't have those. But Justin, real quick, brother, tell us about this windfall of plastic shiny vinyl that came your way and where the good people can find that shit. It's good tunes.
Awesome, man. Yeah, thank you. Picked up a bunch of boxes, actually. I got a stack of them back there. You can probably see them. I'm going to sell them on eBay soon after John gets his cut, of course. My name on eBay is Empty Box King, believe it or not, because I started on eBay just selling empty boxes to schmucks who still wanted to buy them for some reason. So that's what my eBay name was. And I'll have them all listed up in the next couple of weeks. And yeah, I appreciate the plug, man. Thank you.
Fuck yeah.
Now,
man.
Justin, will these boxes include the albums they try to buy? Or is it going to be like a return to... Is this all ironical?
The empty boxes, I mean, I got a couple up there now, but we're talking just shoe boxes and shit that I think people buy, like fake stuff, and then sell them in real boxes. So whenever I buy real stuff, I sell them the boxes, and then I don't know, collectors or something like that. That's how it started.
The classic petards is to take just like the box of some dope ass shit and just give your brother like a totally cheap, like fucking nonsense knockoff thing. You're like, hey, here you go, Charlie. Merry Christmas to you. Fucking
joke videos and stuff.
It's your own fault for having a birthday so fucking close to Christmas. What were you thinking with your little tiny baby brain? Damn it. No Thor powers for you, sir.
Can I have some Shazam powers?
You may.
Yay.
But only because
9%.
Shazam will get proportionately weaker when he do it. But fuck yeah, man. That was very well thought.
John, I can't believe you mentioned all those ads you didn't mention. Just kidding.
Damn it. You had an entire P to work that material out.
No, that was the whole joke.
That was got it. I nailed it.
It was that ... taking the praise. Next topic.
Oh god. So Thor is very it's very fresh on everybody's mind. And you know what? It is somewhat divisive, but on the that all being said, like in this day and age, with as much going on, with as much crap that we have to wade through on a daily basis, I think personally it's so much easier to be like, if you liked it, great. If you didn't like it, that sucks.
I hope people like it.
And you know what?
I hope I'm in the vast minority.
Typically speaking, that's the case. But yeah, like I think honestly, if I was a betting man, I would say that most people are gonna be like, yeah, it was okay, it was all right. But mainly just because expectations were so high coming off of Ragnarok. Ragnarok was a salvation job because fucking Thor 2 Electric Boogaloo sucked so much ass. And they attempted to keep it so serious, and certainly it was an integral part of the Thanos overarching story, where Ragnarok did it much more on the lighter side. And let's be honest, I mean, this might not have any connectivity to Phase 4, but with the time that we've had to push off for the last 2 COVID weeks, we have missed, very much so, a timely and pertinent fucking content that was put out there. So Charlie, right off the bat, I do want to ask you, and we'll go around because I have kind of like deep thoughts about this in particular. What were your expectations, kind of like going in? Were you like, if this doesn't hit all the fucking marks for me, then it's gonna be a complete failure? Versus like, if it's an okay endeavor, then I am okay with it. How was your, I don't know, like like what was your expectation kind of going in?
For what? Tell the lovely people what we're talking about next.
I mean,
Some people just listen. They don't see cues.
Oh, you well, go ahead. You can go ahead and
That still doesn't help the listeners.
Throw up the visual. And so here's the big issue is that Justin and I, almost on like a minute by minute basis, certainly episode by episode basis, we were talking about Ben. Oh no, I'm sorry. I don't want to confuse anybody. Obi-Wan Kenobi. A lot of people think those are different people. Obi-Wan Kenobi was one of those series that, if I'm not mistaken, was pushed back. Right? So we were told it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Then they were like, it's coming later than you expected. We were told all kinds of stuff. And honestly, going into it, the thing that we were told that ultimately just were the only like truths about it was that we were getting Mannequin back. That we were getting, you raise it up like these redemption fucking tales, like this is gonna be the Vader that you want to see. I'm like, well, this is Obi-Wan, this isn't Vader Kenobi, right? So we're gonna get young Luke, and we're gonna get fucking, we're gonna get back the version of the family that I can throw down. And I realize it's a big fucking galaxy, but somehow we find ourselves on Tatooine again. Tatooine is clearly the center of the entire fucking universe. But yeah, I do want to go around the horn because, like I said, I have very strong feelings about it. So, Charlie, for Obi-Wan Kenobi, the series streaming on Disney Plus, Charlie, what were your expectations going in? And on that same scale, 1 to 10, where did it hit? Like, how close to the Charlie mark did it hit?
I think it's very important to acknowledge how long I've loved Star Wars. I've loved Star Wars since 2019. When Mandalorian came on my screen and was like, you want some fucking Star Wars? Here's some motherfucking Star Wars. So I am very much, admittedly, in like the honeymoon period still of my love and my obsession with Star Wars. I'm like calling John. I'm like, bro, you hear about droids, bro? How cool? They're not robots.
Have you ever
They're
heard of a
droids.
lightsaber?
So for me, Obi-Wan was one of those series. I wouldn't say I was excited. I wasn't counting down the minutes like I was for like Boba Fett, because I was hoping they'd fix a character I kind of thought was shitty. Did fail, by the way. So I wasn't particularly excited for it. I sat down to that first episode and I was like, oh shit, Tatooine again though? Interesting. I'm already sick of Tatooine.
But we kind of knew to expect that though.
Yeah. But the minute that show was like, nah, bitch, he's actually going on an adventure with little Leia. And I met little Leia, I was like, this bitch is a 7 all day, every day. It can do no crime. He can use his lightsaber as a wiffle ball bat, and I'm going to look past it because I really enjoyed it. It's a 7.5 on my scale to 10. I had a rip-roaring time. I instantly started watching it again. I love the story they were trying to tell. I think they stuck the landing enough. I think it was Star Wars goodness up and down.
It was Star Wars. So, Justin, same question, brother. What was your level of expectation going in, and how close did they hit? Did they come to hitting the mark?
I was probably hoping to get like an 8.5 or a 9 out of it. I had pretty high expectations. Like you said, they pushed it off for so long, and you can only hope it's because they're searching for perfection. And it probably rolled in around a 6.5 for me. So I wasn't thrilled.
That's fair.
Six and a half is still
more than fair.
passing, barely.
6.5 again. You no summer school. You get to enjoy the hot ass months. Go down in the basement where it's cool. Play video games with your friends. 6.5 gets it done. But disappointment can set in if your level of expectation, like you said, was higher. Now, I come from the school of, what have you done for me lately, Eddie? Like that's where I'm at. So I'm a Star Wars lover. All the sheets, as many of the little like one fucking angle of articulation figures, fucking mixing them shits in with the GI Joes and having like an epic adventure, mixing the vehicles with the GI Joe stuff, and fucking Cobra doesn't stand a chance, even though they are without question far better dressed than the GI Joes, just all cobbled together, whatever they're gonna wear. Half of them not wearing shirts. Looking at you, Gung Ho. That's a great thing. But had Boba Fett not fucking shoved it into my Sarlacc hole the way that he had, my level of expectation would have been significantly higher than
fair.
it was.
That's fair.
It really was. Because this was not a Filoni Favreau production. This was from the desk of blah blah Kennedy. And even though the talent was there, first of all, let me say this. This entire like hashtag, oh, now you guys all know what we knew from the prequels. That Mannequin was really wonderful and was a great performance. Wrong.
He is
Go
not
back and watch.
a talented actor.
Let's not get crazy. The kid hasn't had much material to work with, as far as his IMDb page, in my estimation. Right? Shattered Glass. He handed in a fucking awesome performance. Anyone out there, if you haven't seen Shattered Glass, it's based on a true story of a fucking journalist who just made shit up to get that byline in the papers, and he did a very good job about it. And you want to talk about a redemption story, Darth Vader ain't it. Gore the God Butcher is not it. Somebody like fucking what's his face Glass, who made up fucking stories, but like he didn't just do it just because it seemed like a fun thing to do. That's the type of story, that's what redemption stories are for. Even if you're like, nah, that was still pretty fucked up, you're right, but at least know why the person did what they did. It's better understanding. That all being said, this series is not gonna fucking put him up on a pedestal like now all of a sudden he's fucking Laurence Olivier. He's not. The kid was barely in the fucking series. If anything, when the helmet cracks, again, spoiler heavy, because if you haven't watched it by now, you're not.
Yeah, what the fuck are you doing?
What are you doing with your
What do you
life?
got, a wife and kids? Fuck out
Seriously,
here.
come on.
Nerd.
Things to do, nerd. Fuck out. They crack his helmet again, and you get to see his face and his real face.
Rebels did it.
You hear the dual voices in live action. Great. All that stuff was very good. And I'm saying this right now, I understand that it might be sacrilege. And if Favreau or Filoni are watching this, I apologize. Please consider me as yet another brown person in space. But as huge of a fan of Star Wars, I was a kid fan of Star Wars. Kids are much easier to placate, right? Fucking the bearded chinless wonder knows this better than most because he can't write dialogue to save his fucking life. He could grow a beard and a jawline better than he can write dialogue. His dialogue is trash. I love Star Wars. Again, I want to be very clear about this point. But Star Wars, with several exceptions, though not many, Star Wars is a collection of moments.
Agreed.
When you're talking about certain Star Wars movies, and now that we've elevated it to another platform, Star Wars shows, more often than not, You're talking about this moment, that moment. When this happened, what about this? You're not talking about the collective story arc. You're not talking about the collective feeling, the saga creating the epic ability. No, you're like, fucking prequels sucked. If I hear Roger Roger one more time, I'm
Roger,
gonna
Roger.
throw up. If Jar Jar Binks' tongue comes out of his face, I'm just gonna turn and punch whoever the fuck is sitting to my left. And Charlie, once again, I'm so sorry. It was not expected. It just happened. However, Duel of the Fates, one of the fucking hottest moments, one of the sickest 3-minute sequences I've ever watched in my life, and I'm including porno. So Star Wars, again, with several amazing exceptions, Empire Strikes Back from beginning to end, nearly flawless. Nearly flawless. I'll go fucking toe-to-toe with whoever tries to tell me that Rogue One wasn't just a great movie. I'm not talking about it as an installment of Star Wars. That's up for debate depending on where you felt, how you felt rather, and where you were going into the damn thing. That's a different fucking story. Yeah, I understand a blind guy with a stick fighting against fucking Imperials. That's sometimes hard to swallow. Who can't use the fucking Force?
I'm one with the Force. The Force is one with me. I'm one with the Force. The Force is one with me. Roger, Roger.
Anybody, though, who hadn't seen a tiny little fucking 9-year-old Jyn Erso running around Comic-Con giving out fucking plans to the Death Star to every Leia that she saw, that is like chef's kiss, as Charlie would say. So there are certain glaring exceptions to that comment that I just made. But I would say, and I feel confident in saying it because I am a Star Wars fan. I love the world that Lucas created. But the truth of the matter is, other people are playing better games with his toys. This really wasn't an example of that.
Yeah,
Obi-Wan Kenobi had moments that I fucking loved. Yeah. That I loved. A lot of it is disposable. I don't feel any fucking need to rewatch this series. There might be a bunch of moments I'm like, yo, let me throw this on YouTube real quick. Oh, shit, remember this? Remember that? I might throw up an episode or two. Also, Charlie's right. Young Leia, that little motherfucker, we're going to see her plenty. She put on an acting clinic. And she's like a fetus. She still had a fucking embryonic tail wagging back and forth. So yeah, and also obviously Ewan McGregor, he's a tremendous actor. So even he couldn't do dick with those prequel fucking
hello there
lines.
Famous for a reason.
And probably like my favorite thing to come out of it ultimately was Taika Waititi fucking asking homegirl if she wanted to be in his Star Wars movie. She's like, bitch, I've been in 3 Star Wars movies. What the fuck are you doing?
I'm Vader's mom.
Take a break from smashing both of your girlfriends and actually like watch something. That being said, I'm very much looking forward to what we do in the shadows, new season coming forward. So yeah, so for me, I would agree. Because the moments in this series were as strong as they were, I would bump it up a little bit from Justin's grade. I would say I didn't have a tremendously high level of expectation because I'm like, similar to Boba Fett, I'm like, fuck Ben Kenobi. He didn't really do dick. He didn't do dick. As an old man, he clearly, Alec McGinnis did not want to be there and told anybody who was willing to listen when he was filming the original A New Hope, he's like, my new hope is that we can wrap this motherfucker early because fuck this movie. So fuck old Ben Kenobi. I'm like, he's a dick. He died like a bitch anyway. And young Kenobi, he done fucked up too. He wanted to be a master. Like, you can be a master if you train this little fucking Johnny Come Lately. He's like, okay, boss, whatever you say. Did a shit job fucking training him. The guy turned to piss on his fucking watch. So Obi-Wan Kenobi clearly had PTSD in this whole motherfucker. Rightfully so. He done fucked up, Jim. But that all being said, I would give it a 7, and I have rewatched.
It's a hell of a score.
A 7's a 7. I mean, you don't roll up. If you're a 7, if you got a 70, you're not valedictorian speech in your future. A 7 is like to me a mediocre.
It's
but
a real
any Star
U.S.
Wars-
comics cast. It's like the bare essentials to be a pass, but not like by the skin of our teeth. It's like a whole tooth. That's why you pass. John,
like we barely passed, but on the same token, we didn't study. So
John,
it's the best that we can ask for.
John, I respect your opinions, but I'm going to direct this to Justin. Justin, is it just a fact at this point that without legacy characters, Star Wars seemingly just like humana fumble? Somehow Reva is one of the worst written characters.
Oh my God.
Now let me preface something, internet. I'm not agreeing with you because the internet
Charlie
sucks.
is a racist.
Moses Ingram is a tremendous talent.
I'm gonna pull up her IMDb real quick.
She did as much with that shit material, like Ewan McGregor before her. Shit material can only be elevated so much. This broad Reva had 7 different goals, botched all of them, added an 8th stupid goal. Is she... Now, keep in mind, Jar Jar Binks exists. We saw Sidious's butt in a fight with Yoda.
Call it the way it's supposed to be. Darth Jar Jar Binks.
Is Reva the worst written character in Star Wars? Does she break into that talentless pool of shit characters?
That's tough.
This is again nothing to Ingram. I do think she's
I
a
love
phenomenal
her.
actress.
I said it.
100%. I would watch a 30-episode Jar Jar Binks dedicated on never leaves Gungan City. I don't care what he's doing. I could watch
Misa can't believe you said that.
Before I ever want to see Reva anywhere ever again.
John,
Charlie.
my question for you regarding Reva.
Yes.
Has there ever been an easier plot line for a character? All they had to do was the obvious with her, and it would have been a good arc, and instead they fumbled it.
So, again, the game that we all play of like, I could have done this better, was almost an overload where I was sitting on the couch. I'm like, no. And I watched this by myself because my brother was coated in COVID from head to hairy toes. I sat there watching. I was like, what? Yelling. I may as well have been watching the fucking Giants in these past few seasons. I'm like, what are you doing? Throw the ball. So first of all, if you're sitting in this pitch meeting, you're like, all right, we have a character. Doesn't matter what her name is now. It's going to be female, though, because that's where we are in this world. Fine. No problems there. Going to be a person of color. Fine. No problems there. Ultimately, though, she wants to kill Vader. That's her end goal, right? She wants to get from point A to point B. Vader's dead body is point B. Point A is where we meet her. She needs to be alone with Vader to accomplish her goals. That's the show. Obi-Wan Kenobi is the vehicle getting her from point A to point B. Writers, knock yourself out. I'm Kathleen Kennedy. Somebody bring me my fucking coffee while I put my dogs up on the desk. What these fucking numbskulls, what these stumble bums came up with, it's honestly like there were 12 of them sitting around the table and they're like, all right, well, what if this? And they all fucking threw them into a hat. And instead of the proper process, we're like, all right, let's just pick one out and that's the one we'll roll with it. Or in a perfect world, we're like, let's read them all and be like, this one's the best. They said, okay, we're going to fucking use them all. It was so convoluted, so dumb, so fragmented that ultimately they fucked this poor woman over. Like, she is now like a pariah of a character, and rightfully so, because even if they had said, well, again, spoilers, even as a youngling, maybe they knocked off that big, goofy fucking hospital a bedpan off her head, and she whacked her head and be like, she fucked her head up. That's why she cannot. She's good with the lightsaber, and she's very angry, like Mr. T angry, but she cannot put together a cohesive plan. At least I'd be like, well, I get it. Now I get it why her plans suck ass, and why they ultimately, first sister or second sister would have stepped in and be like, nah. What we need to be doing is go this way. They didn't even do that. They never established. She had never had the opportunity to be with Vader alone. The only way that she could be with Vader alone is to fucking go out and get like the most powerful, other than Yoda, fucking Jedi to be on the Lamb. That was her fucking master plan, and she was gonna be a total cunt about it in the meantime. Like maybe you would get where you're going a little closer, Reva, a little faster, if you enrolled some of these other douchebags. And ultimately, if someone wants to step in and salvage any of this fucking shitty storytelling, then you would say, okay, well, the way that they're bickering amongst each other, the way that there's only ever the two when you're dealing with the Sith, motherfuckers can do math. They're like, look, it's you or me. We both have red lightsabers, but that does not mean we're on the same fucking team, son. You get me? So if they establish, they're like, look, I'm different. I'm trying to work with you. Help me out, fucking egghead, another powder. Fucking help me out, Asian fucking guy, for like the first time in ever. But they didn't even do that. And then her plans were so goofy and poorly fucking structured that ultimately I'm like, what the fuck? Obviously, and the Titanic of it all. Titanic of it all. You know where it's going. So in order for you to write a story that fits into the middle, I'm going to bring it back to fucking Rogue One. In order to write a story that fits into the middle where you know how it ends already, then you need to have fucking... They need to be dancing on the fucking front of the ship. They need to be spinning fucking in the underbelly. You got to maybe draw me like one of your French girls every once in a while. Like, you have a lot to accomplish. So let me ask you, Justin, when you heard the series, what were you hoping for?
You know, I was hoping for a lot of Vader, respectfully, of course. And the one thing I will tip my hat to is that they didn't disrespect Vader in any way. I was expecting him to cry and be all in his feelings. And
they elevated that motherfucker to God levels.
100%. So I thank them for that. But the thanking probably ends there. What I wanted from the series was, curious. I was curious to see what Obi-Wan's doing at that time. I didn't see little Leia coming in at all, and I had no beef with it, but I think it did drag on a little bit because midway through, we all kind of see what's going on at this point, and like at this point, we all just want Vader. So like, stop dragging me through the mud, stop giving me tunnels that apparently have 16 exits, stop doing all that dumb shit, and just give me what I'm here for. And they made you wait all the way to the very end, classic to get there. I just wanted Vader at this point. After Boba Fett, like you said, I had, high expectations, but they were reserved a little bit. Right. I just wanted to see Vader and Obi-Wan kick some ass.
You know what is, and I'll jump in real quick, Charlie, and then you can run with it. At least, we got Vader. We didn't get a guy dressed up like Vader, like Boba Fett. I'm gonna drag his ass
fair.
again.
No, he deserves it.
So Vader was still Vader, and again, the moments. I will send people links to fucking Vader catching a starship 50 feet in the air and slamming that shit down like he had scored a touchdown. He's fucking about to do the icky shot. Like Vader should have been like, I caught your starship, motherfucker. Oh, the second starship? Oh, the right behind it?
I was too busy doing my victory dance.
That one's done now? My fantasy points are fucked this week. God damn me. So yeah, Justin, we got Vader, and we got such an incredibly powerful Vader. Now, I'm one of those guys where I fully subscribe to the art of show, don't tell. That's good storytelling. Don't fucking have a person deliver a diatribe that lasts for 15 minutes and now I got to take notes in order to understand what happened or what's happening sideways or what's going to happen in the future. Yeah, that's right. Write it down, Charlie.
You're the diatribe.
But that being said, some things are a line away from falling directly into fucking focus, right? So if we don't get some kind of an inclination, I already have it, maybe some other people do, with Sith. The analogy that I'll use, you knew you weren't going to get away without an analogy. The analogy,
Damn it, I was already sick for so many weeks.
The analogy that I'm going to use is Freddy.
Krueger?
Freddy Krueger, formerly of the Upside Down. Watch the series if you haven't. Freddy, he derives his power. Actually, Pennywise is a good example of it too. They derive their power from fear, right? The more fucking afraid you are, the stronger that they become. The more realistic them achieving their fucking goals of turning you into Jello is gonna fucking be. Sith, it should be that the more they fucking hate in that moment, the more powerful that they come. That's how it has to be. That's the only way that at this late stage in the Star Wars game, you can really fucking justify all of that nonsense, because we have never seen any version of Vader as straight up powerful as he was in this fucking series. That has to be addressed. You can't just go on your merry fucking way and never deal with it again, because it is a glaring hole. As much as I loved seeing it, and I am a visual effects slutbag, I get that. Look at how I'm dressed. You have to fucking address it. So Charlie, bring it right back up to you, brother.
Regarding Vader, I was going to say something similar. What I really was waiting for from the series was to see the side effect of using dark side power. Motherfucker lives in a fish tank when he's not in that goddamn suit. After he held up that plane and then didn't grab the other starship, all you need is, like, once he's alone again, him collapsing under his own weight. It takes fucking everything out of you, right? Like stupid yoga. That's Yoda's cousin. Yoda walks around with a cane all half.
Can you imagine
Yoda,
a version of Yoda's species, but like she's a bomb piece, tight butt cheeks, six pack?
Yes, I can't imagine. I drew.
Like, downward dog, you must do.
That's my back tattoo. I needed a consequence. Why is it Vader always do it? It's only fucking because of Obi-Wan, and the series ends with his master being like, "Hey, cut that shit out. You care more about that than me," which I thought was really cool.
That was a good touch.
The other thing, though, to sidestep,
Palpatine's a bitch too. I can fix that whole shit.
I thought this cast was amazing. I am wildly offended that, and I'm going to butcher her name. I apologize, but Tala in the series, Indira Varma, close as I can get.
Close.
Who I fell in love with in Game of Thrones.
And
when I saw she was going to be in this, like my heart eyes.
Get online, because I have loved her since Rome.
Fair enough.
You guys
fair
watched
enough.
the Rome series on HBO? Like
Did
20
at your Reco.
Oh my god.
Justin, you have to
Catch watch
up.
it, dude. Because I mean,
I'll add them to the list.
It's all like historical record, but then they pepper in like
Spaceships
like,
and shit.
This maybe imagine.
Oh.
They pepper in like, this would be funny. They also historically take certain characters that did exist and like, well, let's take these 6 people and make them one guy. That'll make him much more interesting to watch. But it basically takes, just real quick, Charlie. It takes you as a viewer from when fucking Caesar says, you know what, I'm gonna fucking cross this river and bring it, son. Up until like him dying and all the way up to Octavian, and it's just great, just great viewing, well written, unlike some of these Star Wars, beautifully acted, and Homegirl is in it, just looking like a snack. But Charlie, I'm sorry, babble away.
What did Tala do in this show? What was her?
She wore a uniform.
She really worked for who?
The rebels. Well,
and she
rebels.
pretended
Yeah.
she was, and she pretended she was working with who?
The Empire.
And what did Reva?
I'm pretty sure she was getting direct deposits from the Empire. Like she was still on the books.
And Reva was pretending to work for who?
Reva was also as
Why
well
are these
collecting
two
damn tits.
characters if they're basically doing the same goddamn thing? Sirs, make that one character. God damn it. This
Oh.
like extra shit, they both wind up with less to do. One character I still love. I think Tal is a dope character. I love that Leia winds up with her gun belt that presumably is the same one that makes an appearance in Jedi, which, mwah, delicious. As much as I was able to like the show, the one thing I couldn't shake was what if, bear with me one sec, what if they had giant balls and in this series...
They were women, Charlie.
Fair enough. They had giant lady balls. I mean the production people, which may have been ladies. I don't know. What if they had the balls and this became like a what if story? And what if little stupid Luke died? And what if like season 2 of Kenobi was him training fucking Leia, whose parents would be way more okay with the whole process? You could have changed everything.
Yeah,
Vader
no,
could
I
have been a
hate that.
badass with superpowers and shit. Would you hate it more than what we got?
Yes.
Instead, what we got is a 7. Fair enough.
Yeah. Because we were at this stage, the only thing Star Wars can do within the legacy window
Remove stakes by letting us know everyone's
is just,
fine at the
just
end.
adding like episode 1.2 and 1. Like that's just and I referenced it actually in the copy. We think of the Wild West as like a long period of time. Like at least I did. When somebody says, "Oh, fucking Wild West," it feels like, well, everybody's running around on horses and fucking, one outfit for like months and shit like that. Like I always thought coming up, I'm like the Wild West period of time that had to be 100 fucking years or longer.
It's like a
Like
weekend.
that's some serious shit. Yeah, it was like a small window of time. It was literally a 30-year window that every story that you ever heard, every Red Dead Redemption fucking arc that you played out, every fucking goofy cowboy hat that somebody wore to a concert that thought it was idea but sat directly in front of you, that whole shit happened within a 30-year window. Guess what else happened within a 30-year window?
Star
The
Wars.
entire lifespan of the Empire. How fucked up did they have to? How fucked up did they have to be within 30 years in a galaxy to ruin everything? Like you were working overtime. No wonder fucking those ships were so big. People were on like day shifts, night shifts, in between shift, ever so right shift. The Empire was working full fucking time, and it only took them like 2 movies to fucking bring that shit down. So I get it, but they're like building to like, oh well, this is the rebellion, this is a rebellion. We know, we get it. I don't need Ice Cube's kid to fucking hold my hand.
Oh my god, with that
And
guy.
walk me through like talk
Oh,
about
I
a
like
useless
those
character.
Jackson
Oh.
Jr.
But
I
you know
like
his
that
character was horrible.
was literally
The worst,
useless.
dude.
I liked him though.
Useless. Like
I
whether you
agree.
personally like him, he
I like what I
he
like.
was of no use.
He did the
just-
right thing at the end. People
it
doing
was-
right shit. I dig it.
it
Every
was just-
line he's delivered was just
Oh.
trash.
Yeah,
he was trash.
not good. You could have,
And I love him as a dude.
but that's
don't
the
get
thing
me
too.
wrong.
Like you want to say, I want to give this guy a job. I want this guy to be in my franchise. You could have given him so much better
Yeah.
shit to do.
I got a very distinct vibe that like he is going to be a player like that we're going to see a lot more of.
Up until a New
Which
Hope,
I know
because
feels like a
you
nightmare
don't
for
see
you
him
guys.
in a New Hope. So
Well,
like
but that's again
the
not to go
Titanic of it
multiverse of
all.
madness. But like me knowing how everyone winds up is it takes away something. The stakes are very, very hard to get invested in when you're like, these fuckers are fine.
The only
Yeah,
ones,
Vader got a new scar, but
the
that dome wasn't winning any fucking sex
which
symbol
was
contests.
a fucking which was a thing that I liked. But look, ultimately, when you're dealing with legacy characters, and to take it back to Taika, with his Star Wars movie, he's like, I don't want anything connected to anybody. I mean, actresses that were in like 3 fucking movies, notwithstanding. He's like, I don't want anything to do with any legacy shit that's going on. No fucking characters that you have heard of prior. He says, I just want to make my own movie. And Charlie used a perfect word prior, auteurs, right? People who make content and you're like, this is a James Gunn movie. This is a Taika Waititi movie. This is a fucking John and Charlie jam. You know, like, you look at a movie, you're like, I got it, right? Charlie and I were fucking talking about how you can watch wildly different subject matter and still know you can fucking watch Baby Driver, or you can fucking watch Scott Pilgrim, or you can fucking watch all these movies. Like, I know this motherfucker first and first, mostly because I'm jamming out because the soundtrack is dope. But look, when you give the reins to a creator, you take what you get, right? You take what you get. You can't do it like Star Wars did in the middle of a fucking trilogy where they're like, you know what? Fuck those storylines. Fuck those character developments that you've done. I'm going to do something. No, that shit doesn't work. So you need to do it in its proper, like birds are amazing. A hawk is an amazing predator. It's not much swimming. So, if it's the middle of the ocean and it's a trout versus the hawk, the trout is going to win. You have to have them in their fucking element. And I think that's where ultimately even Star Wars can go wrong. You want really good storytelling. You look at when they handed the reins to the right person and then they took their hands off. Empire. Fucking, I mentioned it before. Fucking, whatchamacallit?
Rogue One.
Rogue One. I mean, these are just great fucking movies, regardless of this overarching fucking nonsense space soap opera.
Time keeps proving me right about Solo. Like, Solo, I know some
Solo's
people hate to stack
film.
movies.
Solo's
I have no problem with
comfortably
Solo.
in the top half of Star Wars. If you disagree,
Also,
you're fucking wrong.
I
Han
agree.
Solo.
100%.
Solo,
Han
say
Solo
no.
is, without question, if not the, certainly top 3 most cohesive fucking characters written for Star Wars. Why? Because he's an archetype that already existed. Chinless did not invent Dick. The fucking lightsabers, they ran a fucking, recorder past the fucking microphone too close. And they got a good, like, I got a good idea. The guy was great with miniatures. Give me a fucking break. Star Wars is a collection of moments. That's all I gotta say about that. But, Charlie, final thoughts, and then we'll go home because we're in extra time.
I liked it. I hope they do another season.
I like Star Wars.
I hope we get way more Baby Leia. And frankly, there's a lot of times I was glad that I exist in this era. I think Star Wars is still currently in its renaissance. Don't kill me. I think the best Star Wars shit is still around the corner, though.
Sure, because Filoni and Favreau are fucking doing their thing.
Your lips, God's ears. May they reign 1,000 years.
Justin?
I acquiesce the rest of my time to Justin.
At this point, I don't hold it in such a high regard anymore. I've never heard it worded better than it's a collection of moments. So my thought process has changed. I'm willing to watch every second of shit that you dump my way because I know I will pull little things out that will keep it going for me. So I no longer safeguard it and, you don't do this, don't do that. Fucking do it. Show me what you got. I'm going to find something that keeps me going in there. And then it's just going to be how it is until I die. Yeah, there'll always be something in there. So make 5 seasons, make 10 seasons. I don't, give me everything you got and I'll find something to hold on to.
Fuck yeah.
It took me a long time to get there though, honestly.
Sure.
And
Well,
Leia
yeah,
flying through space. So.
we get protective of, forget about the fucking things we love. We get protective of just the things we like. Because the truth is, there is so much trash floating around, in the world out there. You're like, oh, fuck this, that's garbage. Ugh, that's terrible. This is the shit. That when you have something that's even somewhat palatable, we just want to hug it, like Lenny. We want to hug it and squeeze it and rub it. But I killed it. I killed my little pet. So, yeah, I agree with Justin. I am also right. It is absolutely a collection of moments.
It is.
Where I do disagree with Charlie is that I actually don't want to see anymore. I loved Leia. I loved her. I loved her as a child now. I love her as an adult. I loved her as a crazy old fucking lady, just saying whatever the fuck she wanted to say. I didn't love her floating through space, but that's not really her fault. As far as she knew it, she was just in a green screen. She's like, I don't know what they're going to do to me. But I don't want any more Kid Leia. Maybe like if she pops in for like a 5-minute segment on an episode here or there, you know, where the story needs to go ultimately, when you hit on such a high mark and you have such a good feeling about a character and it's so open world at this point, just show me something else. If at all, I would also be okay if there was not a season 2 of Obi-Wan, because he does need to settle into that crotchety Ben stage, racist against sand people stage. Like that needs to fucking happen. But it doesn't necessarily have to happen on screen, because the truth is it might not be that interesting. Like, if you're going to come back with a season 2, he needs to be doing something huge, and it cannot be that he fights Vader again. At this point, he cannot cross swords with Vader again until they're on that fucking destroyer and the kids are escaping, because, like, it's like, at last we meet again. Motherfucker, you guys have had more rematches than like, any two boxes, than fucking Apollo and Rocky. Give me a break. So... I'm also, whatever they make, I'm gonna watch. We're subscribed to it anyway. Yeah. I am going to fucking watch it.
I've accepted it. Bring it.
Yeah, I don't need
Honestly.
it though. There's other. Well, if Mandalorian has shown us anything, it has shown us that this is the way, and there are other stories within that universe that are very, very interesting. Might be sacrilege to say, but maybe even more interesting ultimately than the Skywalker saga. Because let's face it, that family got problems.
You can't really end it more eloquently than that, rather. But I'm still going to fuck it up because it's almost time to enter the cosmic. But first, you guys know the right thing to do and the wrong thing to do. If you're not rating, comment, subscribing, telling friends, all that shit, frankly, you're a shit sipper and you deserve the prequels. If you do the right thing, you will be rewarded by riches of some form or another. But without further ado, thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to Justin. Thank you to John Juan. And, of course, thank you to me, because I am ever so glorious. It is time to meet our brand new friends and enter the cosmic.
Word. Baby, come on.